Welcome to the Dream Design Job podcast, where we help product designers, new and old, connect and adapt to the latest challenges of forging an innovative career in the tech design space. Dream Design Job aims to look at the design careers from a continuously evolving human perspective, because leading human-centered, balanced lives is ultimately what helps us build truly human-centered products. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Dream Design Job podcast. Today we'll be talking about designing for cryptocurrency and Web3. I'm definitely no expert in this area, but Patrici is way more of an expert than I am, so we'll field all the questions to her.
I don't know if anyone can call themselves an expert, but I'll do my best.
I'm sure you'll do fine. So my first question to you is, what is Web3?
Yeah, so Web3 is the natural progression of the evolution of the internet, I would say. And so if you imagine Web2 being the current landscape that we're in, where we have our phones, lots of companies and businesses providing services online, all across the board. Think about centralization as a key piece here. Like everything's centralized in the hands of companies. So our banking, our Google searches, everything like that is owned by companies. And Web 1.0 was when the internet first started. It was not owned by anybody, really. It was open source. The protocols were still developing. And then eventually, when the businesses caught wind of what was happening, then the Web 2.0 era started. And Web 3 is very exciting because it is kind of going back to that decentralized ideal of the internet and bringing back these ideals of, giving this power back to the contributors of the internet, you and me and everybody else who uses it. And so instead of centralizing our data on all of these social media places, maybe one day we'll own our own data and be able to travel from the next Facebook to the next Instagram. And when we're done with these companies, we can be like, bye, taking my data with me.
So then what's going to happen to companies like a Facebook or a Google or an Amazon that store all your data? How are they just going to be like, are they going to go bankrupt? Like what's going to happen? How are they going to monetize?
Well, I don't like to be too much of a fortune teller here, but what I can see happening in the near term is companies hybridizing their approach to business. So appreciating the decentralized principles of Web3 and welcoming that into the way they do business, but at the same time, still maintaining some Web2 practices and frameworks. So for instance, Coinbase is a good example of how this is already starting to happen. They don't really consider themselves a bank, but the whole idea of cryptocurrency, right, is that you get rid of the bank, you get rid of the third party. And Coinbase is a third party, obviously, but they still respect the ideals of cryptocurrency. And so they are, still promoting those ideals, even though technically a lot of hardcore cryptocurrency people would say that Coinbase is not real cryptocurrency because, it's still centralized. But, I think we're going to start seeing a lot of companies adopt this hybrid approach of centralization and decentralization.
Yeah. Do you think it's going to be, it's interesting because I'm wondering for folks who may not be as savvy into tech, are they going to want to be their own contributors, right? Are they going to want to be the folks who control their destiny? Maybe some folks like to have content be curated for them, right? Maybe they like to have these companies hold their information and them not having to worry about it. How do you see like the adoption of Web3 capabilities?
Yeah, I think this is actually a huge design challenge that's about to be broken into because, all of this cryptocurrency and Web3 technology has been being built. All the protocols have been being built for the past 10 years or so. And this is like not the domain of the average human being. We don't understand the white papers. We don't want to read the white papers. They're like too technical for a lot of people. And so design is going to come in because these protocols are getting established. They're getting ready to be built with a UX layer. And the design challenge that I see, at least one of them, is how do we, or do we at all, need to evangelize this idea of self-responsibility and being your own bank, being your own owner of your data? Because you're right, like we're used to, as a society, just handing it off and outsourcing all of this responsibility. So if we want to go deeper into this, you can see this ideal already being embraced by many countries who are struggling. So like in 2020, Nigeria was having some political turmoil, and El Salvador just, started using Bitcoin. And these are really unstable countries. And so adoption, for better or for worse, kind of has to happen with high motivation from the people who are using it. And mass adoption for people like us who are used to having all of our services, I don't want to say that it can only happen when we are highly motivated, like someone from El Salvador or Nigeria, because hopefully we don't get to that point. But yeah, either that has to happen or people on their own start to drift to understanding why it's important to have responsibility and ownership over your own data.
How soon do you think Web3 is going to hit us? Meaning like where the adoption rate is just going to be, where like everyone's going to start, contributing to like Web3 features and capabilities. Because when you talk about like Nigeria, this example that you just gave around Nigeria adopting cryptocurrency, just recently there was a huge crash in the crypto market.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, what is that going to do to a country that's already not stable, right? Like Nigeria. So, it doesn't seem like we're quite ready for it yet because the concept is still not too stable.
Yeah, the concept is not stable. And people's emotions are connected to the ups and downs. And like, even now during this most recent crash, you can see a big dip in the demoralization of a lot of people who are, big fans normally during the good times. But I think that's part of this that I kind of want to dig into as a designer. I haven't explored this idea too much, but I have these questions around, okay, so if this volatility is affected by the emotions of the people using it, because like if you look at meme coins, like these things aren't technically sound. If you are a hardcore crypto addict, a lot
like
of people,
Doge.
a lot of people doubted that it could actually be a usable token, and yet it had those highs in 2020 and 2021 where the value was driven by the people who were investing in it. So going back to your point about, the volatility, I wonder if there is some sort of design exploration that people can start to do around like how to, you know, correlate these spikes and emotional bursts of passion in the people that drive actual value.
Yeah, that'd be a really interesting data science problem to tackle, you know, just to see like what are some like trending things on Twitter even because they have an open API. So they have these online data libraries that are free to access by, you know, by folks. And you can pull certain kinds of keywords and see how things that like Elon says, how much they impact the crypto markets, right? Or the markets just in general. That could be an interesting design problem that someone could probably tackle.
Yeah, I think there's still a lot of exploration to be done there.
Yeah. What are some things that you follow, that you personally follow, to keep up with like things happening in Web3 or in crypto?
Good question. I subscribe to a lot of Discords, and I don't even know how I come across them. Usually it's, you know, from browsing news articles or Twitter, crypto Twitter, and someone talks about a topic that piques my interest. And so I go down a rabbit hole and join all these Discords, which are basically their own communities of people who are interested in similar things. And all of the Discords have their own value to bring to the communities. So depending on what you want to learn, like if you want to learn NFTs, there are NFT communities to follow. And yeah, from there you can get a lot of information about what's going on because there's so much going on, it's hard to really keep track.
Yeah. So what are you doing right now in this current market landscape in terms of crypto?
Well, I'm diving more into the idea of being your own creator. And I don't know really how this works, but some of the places that I've explored this are invisiblecollege.xyz. That is a good place to start if you want to learn how to build Web3 projects. And, you know, everybody who's built their project so far, whether it's an NFT or a DAO, they like kind of learned on their own. And this is how the whole landscape is right now. It requires a lot of proactive exploration from every individual because that's how things get done. Yeah. So you find your niche, you find your interest, and then you really have to be your own driver for whatever happens.
Yeah, there's no like master class or
not yet.
Yeah, not yet. Maybe you can make one.
Yeah, actually, Invisible College is those guys are trying to start that. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Some courses.
Cool.
There are courses out there too. I just haven't subscribed to any of them, but yeah, I'm sure like in 10 years people will have established some norms, but right now if you want to establish norms, this is the time. So that's what I would say is that right now this is the phase where anyone who's interested in creating and establishing the foundation for what this is all going to be, this is the time to like dive in. Yeah.
Okay. Do you know any companies that are kind of building Web3 things?
Like regular companies?
Yeah, like
these are centralized companies.
Exactly. Like
Uh,
any kind of startups or, even for-profit companies, ones that are
yeah, I
public.
think if you're a designer who wants to start understanding Web3, there are plenty of like regular companies because it is hard to kind of make the jump from, oh, I'm working at Web2 companies and now I want to like build a DAO or build an NFT project. That's hard for a lot of people to do. Like I've thought about it. I want to make an NFT. I want to like make a DAO, and I am part of some DAOs. Maybe I should define what a DAO is.
Yeah, what is a
Actually,
DAO? What is a
a DAO,
protocol?
a DAO is a decentralized autonomous organization, and it is basically an open source way of collaborating. So the way I see it is one day DAOs could replace corporate hierarchies because DAOs, the whole point of a DAO is that anyone can join and you're judged on the merit of your work. This is the idealist perspective. I don't know if there's anyone who has like worked this out perfectly. Um, but whereas in like open source style collaboration and the engineering and software world, uh, DAOs can utilize any sort of skill set. So it's open source for all types of skill sets. You can like have marketers come and contribute. You know, if you
It
need
kind of sounds like a
operations
free-for-all,
people,
you know?
it is, and this is why it's kind of messy right now. I think it's
Hmm.
hard to figure out um, how to organize all of this, especially when, like, if you've heard of Links DAO, which is everyone coming together to buy a golf course, or Constitution DAO, which is a bunch of people coming together to buy the Constitution.
What?
Yeah, and all of these people come from like all over and share the funds. So they like contribute to the funding of buying the Constitution or contribute to the funding
Is
of
it even
buying
for
the
sale?
golf course. I guess there was a copy for sale. I don't know too much about that project, but yeah, um, people come together to buy a lot of things with DAOs, and I think that's the initial use case right now is people coming together to buy things. But there are some more complex DAOs that are being formulated. I think a lot of people have really cool creative ideas, but the challenge is how do you get all of these people
Hmm.
meshing and working together and understanding each other's ideas and still neatly put together a package for a business model that
Right.
works as well as like the corporate model, because you really do need leadership. So I'm seeing that there are like leadership pieces of working in DAO that are very similar to design. So here's another place where I think design is going to come in and kind of like shift how collaboration works in Web3 is that, you know, you and me, we know a lot of the times we're brought into projects to
Hmm.
facilitate. And so instead of having a CEO leading a DAO, maybe there just needs to be like facilitation, so that there's no or less top down hierarchy. Anything can happen. I don't know. This is why I say I'm not an expert. I think people are still learning what all of this consists of, and you still have a say in what that looks like, which is kind of cool, but it's like so much possibility that it's intimidating.
Yeah. No, that totally makes sense.
Yeah.
I think for folks who are open to like doing something in the wild, wild west, and who
Mm-hmm.
are comfortable being in that kind of environment, this is their space, right? This is like
Mm-hmm.
their jam. Um, so yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense. Some folks, it's not so much. They like to wait by the sidelines, or they just want to like, invest passively in crypto, which is also fine as well.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't want to
I think
be the
there's something for
pioneers.
everyone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And speaking of like people who want to sit on the sidelines, I think one of the ideals of working in a DAO, and I haven't seen maybe there are DAOs like this now, but I haven't seen it, where the ideal is that there's so many people collaborating so smoothly and so seamlessly that anyone who is working can take off whenever they want. So they can contribute when they want and leave when they want, because there's going to always be somebody taking care of it. But, if you think about the challenges we have now in a corporate setting,
Yeah.
it sounds like that would mean lots of documentation, lots of handoff process to kind of figure out. So, yeah, it's early, but I think starting with simple ideas like buying golf courses and property, that's like the place to start, because then you can like work out those kinks and then move into the more complex ideas.
Yeah.
So,
So which DAO are we gonna start?
Dream Design DAO. Dream Design DAO?
Yes,
Yeah.
Dream Design DAO. But what are we selling over here, or what are we asking people to buy?
I don't know. I think
An
we have
entire
to
building.
brainstorm about this. Yeah, maybe we buy a design consultancy. I don't know.
Fun times.
What
Fun
do you
times.
think after hearing all of this? Are you into it?
I think it still sounds really foreign to me, in the
Mm-hmm.
sense that like the concept of having just like a conversation, a collaboration with like folks on Discord, where like you don't have any kind of context other than you have this mutual interest in
Mm-hmm.
a specific um, area, DAO area. Um, it it really sounds chaotic.
Yeah.
It sounds like we need someone to like, we need a leader to like rally us, but then that kind of defeats the purpose, right? It's like you have a leader, and then that leader establishes a hierarchy, and then it becomes a centralized system, and
Yeah.
makes me
Yeah.
think about, do people naturally gravitate towards, you know, being told what to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or, is there really a deeper yearning to want to do it ourselves, or to,
Mm-hmm.
wanting to be like I was saying before, the master of our own destiny?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is where, going back to our earlier conversation where we were kind of analyzing emotional drivers and behavioral motivations, and how in unstable countries the motivation is high to enter this space. Same for DAOs. Like, what would a motivation be that is significant enough to drive people to want to put effort into this? And I think, like, if you look at the dystopian perspective, like, really tyrannical centralized dystopia could be the driver for people to want to break away a little bit. And I don't think that's going to happen overnight. I think it's going to happen slowly. And yeah, I mean, you could always see it if you look at the landscape of corporations right now and all of the privacy, security,
Mm-hmm.
centralization of data arguments that are happening every day. Um, and I don't know if people are sick of it yet. I don't think so, because we still all use our socials. We still like our banks. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe they'll have to become like dictator banks before
Yeah,
we.
maybe
we
in due time. You never know.
yeah.
Things get changed in a night
Mm-hmm.
sometimes.
Yeah.
So
So we'll see where that motivation comes in. But when that comes in, I think that's when we'll all be like, boom, this is what we gotta do. Like, this foundation will already be here, but then once the people are motivated, then they're
yeah,
gonna be all in.
yeah, neat. Okay, well, we'll
Hmm.
have to wait to see when that day comes.
Hopefully not soon, since it sounds like not the greatest
Yeah,
day. But
maybe it'll be
maybe it'll be positive. I don't know.
yeah, it could be.
Yeah,
Hard to say.
yeah, positive motivation. I'll hope for that.
Well, Patrici, thanks so much for walking us through all of that. It was very educational, at least for me.
No
And
problem.
for our viewers out there, that'll be the end of this episode. Please be sure to like and subscribe and all that goodness to our Spotify and our YouTube. So until next time.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.